and our but the. Hey, W here. Welcome to the channel. I think this is probably going to be sort of a short video. I'm going to make a small gift for a friend of mine, and I just wanted to share it with you. It's a fairly easy project, but kind of fun. So yeah, let's dig into it. There's a bit of leather here on the table. I have a 3D printed little sort of stamp thing that I'm going to sort of emboss the leather with a little kind of monogram and a few other bits, but that's basically all it takes because, like I said, it's kind of a simple project. So yeah, let's get into it. Actually, this slit or this cutout in the leather is from a previous project, which was basically the same. I've decided to make this one slightly wider, but this actually gives me the length. I need a piece of leather the same length. And now comes the part that I'm not good at because I've done it like 3 or 4 times, but I struggle with it every time. So I'm actually going to test it. The braiding part, I'm actually going to do it on this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to unbraid this just to remind me how it works. I mean, there's basically a trick to it, or trick. It's just the physics of how braiding works. Is that if I put this over and through, and put this over and through, I can put that makes the whole thing completely bunch up like this. But then when you put them back through, see if I can do this because, like I said, I always struggle with it. When you put them back through and just straighten out these leather bands here, it turns into a braid. So you have to braid at least twice, so that you do the first one and it all bunches up, and then you do the second one and it unbunches. Now I'm going to try and do it with this pristine, much stiffer leather. It's going to look like this by the time I'm done, simply from the handling. But let's see if I can get this right. So first, you know how braiding works. So you put it over the center, the first one, and then the second one over the center, and then I just basically fold the whole thing through. It follows where the first bit went. And then starting with the opposite one, starting with the left one this time instead of the right one, I should be able to scrunch the whole thing through like this and then flatten out the ribbons. That's what should happen. Oh my God, would you look at that? I got it right the first time. How about that? It's actually all I need to do now is sort of get it into shape. How do you like that? I'm going to have to lie when I give my friend, this gift. I'm going to have to lie about it and tell him it took hours because that was a lot faster than I expected. That was surprisingly easy. And what I'm going to do now to finish this piece, I'm going to put the ring on this end, and then I'm going to finally emboss this end with a stamp. And first thing, of course, is to find out which size hole the eyelet requires. You know what? I'm going to do a test. I happen to have a piece of test leather. In fact, this is the exact same material, and I've done some testing, apparently. So I'm going to try and see which hole works best. punch a hole in that and put the eyelet through. Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. I don't think I'm gonna seal this eyelet and use it up because I don't have to. This I was just for size. All right, so now I have to put the hole exactly where I marked it. That's actually kind of difficult. I don't know if you can imagine that, but I marked the hole with a little pinpoint, and the thing that I'm gonna punch the hole with is this big fat round, like six or so millimeters, and I have to I have to hit the middle of that big whole round thing right where my little marker is. But I think I got it. I think it's very close at least. I'll just punch that through. Yeah, I'm buying that. And then of course I need to seal the eyelet with this tool for it. Give it a few good wraps. And there we go. Right there. And then of course the key chain or the key ring goes through there. I think I'm going to chamfer those corners. I don't think I'm going to try rounding it because it should be like a half circle, and it would make the flap would be too big if it had been that. I don't want that. I think I'm just going to chamfer it. But I think I'm going to do that as the last thing, because before that I think it's embossing time. So the key to doing this is just a cold emboss. I'm not doing this is just a piece of plastic from the 3D printer. So of course there's going to be very little heat involved. The trick is to I'm just going to show. I'm going to talk you through it. I'm going to show you. Yeah, I'm going to talk you through it like I know what I'm doing. I've tried this a few times before. I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination. This is a little bit of warm water, and that's all it really takes is I'll just soak the leather a little bit in the warm water. It doesn't take much to soak a piece of leather like this. The water softens the leather a little bit. The thing that you need to make sure you're doing, or try to make sure you're doing, is getting pressure and getting even pressure. I'll put that on here, and I put a piece of MDF on either side like this for pressure distribution, and then I use a clamp. I prefer using a real clamp like this as opposed to one of those, as opposed to these ones. I use a real one. I just want to see if that's straight on. That's straight on. That's straight on. Yeah. And then I just give it a tighten so that there's good solid pressure on there. And now all I have to do is leave this for a couple of hours. I mean, ideally, I think, again, this is not my area of expertise. I'm learning as I go, but I think I've discovered that you need to leave it at least until the leather dries. That seems sort of logical, of course. I don't think that leaving it much beyond that helps or changes anything. So I'm just gonna do. You can probably aid it by giving it some heat, but on the other hand, in between the actual surfaces where the pressure is, you're not going to get much heat in there unless you warm up the whole block, this whole construction, and possibly warming up the plastic, which doesn't handle heat that well. So I'm not going to try and do that. I'm just going to leave it like this until I think until the leather seems to be dry, and then I'm going to unscrew it. And as the final touch, like I said, I'm just going to chamfer off these colors. Okay. I'm going to chamfer off these corners and give it a little, I think I'm going to give it probably a little bit of leather grease. So with a little bit of luck, I can now show you some beauty shots of the final product. And that's how I make a small, handcrafted, 3D print included gift for a friend. Thanks for dropping by, and I hope to see you next time.